Hey, it's Tyler with Lowbrow Customs. I am going to do a little bit of work on a motorcycle Todd at Lowbrow is putting together, and thought it was a good opportunity to show you a Gasbox Universal Battery box in use. There's many ways you can use them and mount them. I'm going to show you a nice, easy, clean method that works especially well for motorcycles that have a cross tube like that and the hardtail frame. So the universal battery box could be mounted to anything with 2 holes in it. You could always weld a piece of flat strap with holes in it. You could weld tabs coming off of a cross member. The way I'm going to show you is using some of these bungs. These are Lowbrow Customs Universal Fabricator bungs. These are 1-inch OD. Here's an open set. They are coped for 1-inch tubing already, and it's a perfect fit. And they're tapped 5/16 18 thread, which is a standard thread. Now, the Gasbox battery box came with 1/4-inch hardware. I'm also going to show you how to take, this is some stainless 5/16 hardware, the proper size for these threaded bungs. And I'll show you how I'm going to drill and counterbore that battery tray to work with this hardware. So it makes install super clean, stable, and easy. I'm going to show you how to end up locating the bungs properly, getting your battery box all nice and centered, straight, plumb, tack weld, finish weld, bolt in place, and that's it. It's a really straightforward process, and it's very durable, and it looks great. So here is our Gasbox battery tray base, and you can see it's countersunk for 1/4-inch hardware. The 5/16 hardware I'm going to use doesn't fit through. So the first step I'm going to do is drill those holes out for 5/16. So we've got a 5/16 drill bit in here. Put a little lube on it. This will just take a moment. So now the hardware fits through, but the head is not sitting flush into that countersink because the countersink is set up for a smaller 1/4-inch bolt. So the next thing I'm going to do is change up my drill bit for a countersink. This countersink has the proper angle that matches the taper on that head, and it will allow me to make these chamfers deeper. And I'm basically going to remove a little material, put the hardware in until it sits flush, and take a little bit at a time until I get the proper depth. When doing any sort of countersinking and really drilling or anything, it's good to use a little bit of light lubrication on there. It'll keep you from making your countersinks dull prematurely. So all I'm doing is getting the initial countersink to open that up, and to make sure I don't go too deep, I'm just gonna go ahead and test. Now, it fits better than it did, but that head is still proud of the material. So I'm gonna go ahead and relieve it a little bit more. And this being aluminum, I'm not clamping the workpiece, I'm just holding with my hand, and the countersink, it'll self-center the piece. You can kind of hold it loosely and it'll pull it right in as you go. You could clamp this down, make sure everything's really secure if you want. So all right, almost there. It's a lot better, but we really want the head of that sitting flush with this base. So the battery is sitting on the bottom of the tray and not just riding on the bolt heads. A little more lube. Almost there, just a hair more, and we'll be good to go. we go. Perfect. Next thing is to do the exact same process on the second hole. Perfect. There we go, ready to go. All right, so now that we have modified the battery tray for the larger hardware, the next step is I'm going to simply pop this through and I'm going to thread the bungs in place, like so, just loosely for right now. And something important to point out about this hardware, I actually shortened these because I didn't have the proper length here in my garage. So these are a flathead Allen. Now, the proper length, if you're gonna basically do the same style install I'm doing, is 5/8 of an inch, or 0.625 inches. So with a flathead Allen, you actually measure the length from the top of the head to the flat. Normally, with most any bolts, you're measuring from under the head. But since these countersink into the material, you're looking at the overall length. So if you need to order hardware or go to the local hardware store, get yourself some 5/8 flathead Allens. And again, these are 5/16 18 thread. So I'll get these roughly into position. And what I want to do here is just kind of get an idea where this is going to sit. On my cross tube. You can see how nicely that cope fits in that cross member. I left them slightly loose and I'll snug them up before I weld. So my goal here is to get this positioned, figure out where on the tube I want it in this direction, and then also to make sure that I have it perpendicular to the bottom frame rail. You don't want to weld it all up, put your battery in there, and then realize that your battery is all cattywampus. So something that I think is really worth mentioning is before I worry about getting this battery box perpendicular, square to my frame, I need to ensure that my frame is parallel to the ground. So I've got this lift under here, this blackjack, just to steady the bike. I'm gonna go ahead and lower that down because I wanna make sure, right now I know from setting it up that it lifted the front of the bike a bit. On this particular bike, I don't even know if there's fluid in the forks right now, but I'm just gonna pull down on that suspension and see where it sits. It brought it down a little from where it was. So you have to remember as well that when a motorcycle has a rider on it, when you're riding down the road, it's under load, it's gonna sit a little differently. So looking at this, just eyeballing it, it is a little higher in the front. That's fine, I just kind of wanted to check and see where it's at. When I line up the battery tray, I'm still going to make sure that it's not vertical, say to the lift table. I want to make sure it is nice and perpendicular to the frame rail. You don't want your motorcycle looking great and then your battery box is straight, but it looks crooked compared to everything else. So you can level your table, level your frame, get everything all set up, but I'm gonna do it the old fashioned way and just eyeball it. And if you stare at it long enough and you can't tell if it's crooked, it's fine. Another thing is I'm gonna tack weld the bungs to the tube while they're bolted to this tray. So it's a little bit more, work getting up under there to tack weld them. But I'm gonna get at least 2 solid tacks, maybe 3 on each of the bungs. That ensures that when I unbolt the tray, remove it, and finish weld the bungs, when everything's ready to go together, it's gonna be a beautiful fit. It's gonna bolt right up. I'm not gonna have a hole off by a tiny bit and then be messing around trying to file a hole or something like that. It's a total mess. So by welding or tack welding while you have everything together, it'll save you a lot of hassle later on. The other thing I might mention is we've got the chain on this bike right now. It's really easy to forget about things like your chain. So what we're gonna do is just gonna pick a happy spot for this battery box, definitely keeping away from the chain because you can get a little side-to-side motion when you're riding and you don't wanna have to worry later about your chain slapping your battery box and messing up your nice work. So we're gonna end up leaving a healthy margin in between the chain and the battery box. The other thing is this is the side that the strap bolts to release your battery. You're obviously gonna want easy access, so you'd want that on this side as opposed to the side where your chain is at. That's it. What I'm gonna do is get the welder set up and prep that tube for tack welding and get this thing positioned and weld it up. All right, I'm gonna prepare to weld. So first thing I'm gonna do is clean off the tubing. I'm just using a little bit of emery paper. I really actually like these rolls of plumber's emery tape because it's really strong, convenient, and you can do stuff like really easily like this. Take off any little bit of flash rust, any bit of oil, scale, whatever. To get a nice clean weld, you really want to have clean surface to work with. Should be more than enough. Denatured alcohol works for cleaning. Be careful, don't kill yourself using brake clean and whatnot. All right, so that tube is ready to go. Same thing, I'm just gonna, even these bungs are nice, they're not covered in surface rust or anything. There is machine oil on them, so I'm gonna go ahead and, just for the heck of it, hit the outside edge all the way around. Just to clean off anything potentially there that might annoy me while I'm welding and suck into my weld pool. Wipe these off real quick. Okay, now I am ready. These are ready to be tack welded once I have everything located properly. So to help me eyeball this in a very professional mathematical way, I'm gonna go ahead and put the battery on there. This just gives me, a larger visual to help me make sure that it's nice and straight. I did pull the right-hand exhaust pipe off. What I'm really gonna look at is kind of the underneath flat edge of the battery box compared to this rail. And it's pretty easy to get these things lined up just by eye. Oh, there. The other thing I'm gonna check again is just eyeballing to see where the battery is, sitting left to right in relation to the chain, and just kind of where I think it gets sufficient clearance and also looks good. Keeping in mind the mounting strap's gonna be coming down right here. It allows you to access that without any issue. So my tendency is, being slightly OCD, is to center that battery to the tire, but that would give me a little less clearance than I think I would like from the chain. Right about there should work. And now I will go ahead and level it front to rear again. And that looks good. I am ready to give this a tack weld or two, and I like to do a couple tack welds, stop, look at it again. I've made the mistake in the past, sometimes getting too excited and just going and welding everything up, standing back, happy with my work, and then seeing something's totally crooked. So when you tack, weld, it pulls the metal in one direction or another. So it's always good to, tack opposite sides, kind of switch around, and it'll help keep your piece a little more centered. All right, so I went ahead and tack welded that real quick. Those were just fusion tacks, meaning I didn't use any fill rod. They're just temporary to hold this in place while I verified that nothing shifted or moved and it's exactly where I want it before I go ahead and finish weld it. So, I couldn't really even see that well. Again, those were just little temporary welds. I'm gonna end up unbolting this tray and taking a look, and then I'm gonna go ahead and finish weld the bungs. Actually, real quick, before I do that, let's take a look again. Looks spot on. I didn't think it moved at all while I was welding it, and the position looks great. So I'm gonna go ahead, remove this tray, finish weld the bungs, put it back together, and it's all done. All right, got these bungs finish welded. It's a little pain in the butt having the bike pretty together like this, but got a nice bead all the way around, both of them. I'm gonna throw a little bit of, this is Never Sees in a stick form. Since this hardware I'm using is stainless steel, I don't want it to gall. And I've had it happen even while test fitting. If there's a little bit of grit or such in there, it can gall stainless, and then you're kind of screwed. So put a little Never Sees on there, especially since I just welded on these bungs and they're a little hot, not too hot though. So I'm gonna go ahead and bolt this in place. An alternative to Never Sees, if you do use blue Loctite will keep stainless from galling as well. The nice thing about the design of this hardware with this battery box, the way we're installing it. Once you install the battery, it's holding the heads of these put so those can't physically back out. So your battery tray is going to stay nice and tight because it's going to have the battery itself holding the hardware and locking it physically in place. All right, so there's our nice new battery tray, all securely mounted. Fit the battery up. Super simple and easy. This is the bolt, washer, and flange nut that come with the Gasbox Universal Battery box. And look at that, lucky for us, it even clears that cross member. Might be a little difficult to not difficult, but you have to fish this nut in there. But since you're only removing the tie-down strap when you're removing your battery, it's not a big deal in my opinion. There you have it. Nice sturdy battery. Looks great to me. We have proper clearance with our chain. It's nice and straight, durable. It's not gonna break. It's not gonna crack off your bike, leave you on the side of the road. Check one more thing off the list. A handful more bits of fab work on this bike and it will be ready to tear down for powder coat paint and it will be on the road. Summer's coming.